as I finally reached my long-awaited experience with puberty just a short time ago. I was scared and excited to become someone new, a man. Based on my friend's experience, I was going to get taller, and my voice would get deeper, and I would get stronger and more muscular. Turns out, it only meant that I would get acne, like a lot of acne. Every morning, I would wake up and look into the mirror only to see those ugly yellow-white pustular mountains all over my face. I couldn't help myself. I squeezed those miniature mountains until they erupted like little volcanoes of hormone and self-consciousness. My dad told me it was a serious facial expression that I should not poke my acne, where I would risk severe brain infections due to all the blood vessels in our faces. And from that brain infection, it is only a short time before you die. I don't know if it's that pseudoscience, but it sure scared the 16-year-old me. But what it did not do was to stop me from popping every single pimple. And guess what? I'm still alive. Was that worth the risk of avoiding ridicule from my peer as they commented on my obvious foray into manhood? I personally think it's worth the risk. But the risk was not even a factor. You see, as children, we lack the ability to think through the logical sequence of events to the consequences. This is because our prefrontal cortex are underdeveloped. According to the National Library of Medicine, the prefrontal cortex is the most evolved region of the brain that serves our highest order cognitive ability. It intelligently regulates our thoughts, actions, and emotions through the extensive connection to the other regions of the brain. Simply put, it allows us to regulate our behavior and consider the consequences of our actions. Despite its importance, it will only be fully developed near the age of 25. This explains why I would risk severe brain infection and death popping pimples, and why children are often referred as risk takers compared to their adult counterparts. As kids, we are less fearful of the unknown. Some people experience acrophobia, the fear of height. Others, arachnophobia, spiders. Still others, cynophobia, dogs, aerophobia, flying, or you might suffer from claustrophobia, which is just described as the fear of being locked in the same room with your relatives. There seems to be as many phobias as there are people, but there's one pervasive fear that you might not know the name of, thanatophobia, or the intense fear of dying. This fear manifests in your dad's workout routine or your mom's in-care routine, but it first became a cultural practice during the earliest civilizations, such as the Egyptians, who concocted a pantheon of deities and intense rituals surrounding the afterlife. The field of reeds is an idealized vision of one's life on Earth, where your existence continues, even after death. So I guess for me, that means I'll continue to pop my pimples. In fact, there's no word in ancient Egyptian that corresponded to the word death, as typically defined as ceasing to live. Death was just a transition into another phase of life. Similarly, the Romans had myths about Pluto, the Greeks had Hades, the Aztecs had Mictlan, Christians heaven and hell. That countless culture and countless time people have spent exploring and justifying the afterlife demonstrate our very real fear towards it. The lack of knowledge forced the ancient people to approach death from the spiritual perspective. From the spiritual and religious, the philosophical counter-interpretation emerged in the late 19th century under the works of Nietzsche and his contemporaries. Existentialism proposed that, while life is meaningless, meaning can be created by individuals. Nihilism similarly contends that life is meaningless and that the only known truth is the existence of the self. Heidegger's approach to death urges us to view it as a natural part of our life and a source of inspiration and freedom. To accept death and to use it as a means of understanding the purpose of life. Thank you, Dr. Bokas. That's from the Philosophy Club. In modernity, people are still driven by spirituality and philosophy, but tempered with technology. We strive to conquer death through medicine with technologies such as pharmacology, chemotherapy, and basic surgery. These developments invert and twist our understanding of death. For example, chemotherapy utilizes powerful chemical to target and kill the faster growing cancer cells in our body, which hopefully leaves our own cells behind. In this sense, we utilize death in the pursuit of life. Other examples include simpler technologies such as defibrillator, or more advanced technology such as regenerative medicine. These are the obsessions of the adults, to define, control, and defeat them. As kids, however, we don't become mired in these spiritual, philosophical, or biological considerations. We run blindly forward into risks and reward with similar abundance. We explore the unknown, both the inevitable and avoidable ones, instead of allowing fear and consequences to define our inaction. Even when we do, we will be called little adults, reinforcing that this narrative of fear is somehow adult. We are always cautioned and admonished by the adults to think about the consequences and to be careful, to not take many risks and to grow up. However, I would like to challenge that practice and challenge the adults in our lives to instead think more like us. Yes, our brains are underdeveloped, but this freedom fosters creativity, new ideas, and innovation. It is precisely the lack of fear that creates opportunity to take risk and to make progress. Dr. George Land and Beth Jarman conducted an experiment on the creativity level of children from 4 to 5 and discovered that 98% of them fell into the genius category of imagination. When the experiment was conducted again at 10, only 30% fell into that category. At 15, 12%. In adulthood, only 2% were categorized as imaginative. It seems to me that when the fear of consequence, the fear of unknown, and death creep into our decision-making process, we lock the ability to be creative and to imagine the unknown into existence. No human beings cannot fly because they're too heavy and have no wings. No human beings cannot dive under the ocean because they cannot hold their breath for long. No, time cannot be reversed because nothing travels faster than light. These fixed mindsets have prevented us from innovating, from improving, and from taking risks. To children listening, I challenge you to let go of the risk, to let go of the fear, and to take risks even when you grow up. It is in your brave, albeit reckless, willingness to try new things that you could unlock your creativity and truly innovate. To adults listening, I challenge you to remember what it feels like to be a kid. To leap off the cliff without the consideration of consequences or intrusive fear. Remember what it feels like to be free. Your biology might be evolving in a more responsible direction in the future, but I hope you could devolve to a more creative space and let go of the fear and embrace the unknown. Thank you.